were Matt Pinsent at 8.5.
Well, now we go to fours, but this time it's the lightweight fours. And of course, I need to mention straight away that Huang, Hu, Zhang and Tiang, who are the world champions, are not here. And this lightweight competition, nonetheless, really fascinating. The Chinese who won both in Linz and Amsterdam. So their absence is significant and has to be put into the equation. But here in Lane 1, Australia, we've just moved on to Canada there. Dan Parsons in the stroke seat. And here are France. Silver medalist last year, gold medalist the year before. They've yet to really produce Fabien Tillier in the stroke seat. Great Britain in Lane 4, this improving lightweight for James Clark, Paul Mattick, James Lindsay-Finn and Richard Chambers. Next to them in Lane 5, well, I wonder whether the success of the Dutch will motivate Paul Drews, Roland Evans, Ivo Schneiders and Gerard van der Linden to great things. They've got something to do on the book to catch up with the British. And then the Italians, Bruno Mascarenhas, Salvatore Amitrano, Catello Amaranti and Jiri Vicek. That's a boat full of pedigree quality oarsmen, but they're in Lane 6. The fastest of these boats through to the final, Great Britain, in 6:03.08 from the semi-finals, from Lane 4. Canada. That suggests they should be well up and well to the fore.
Great Britain, the Netherlands, Italy. Attention.
So away we go.
Good clean start all round.
And we go away with Great Britain, who were third in Linz in the first World Cup regatta of the season, runners up in Amsterdam, so looking today to complete the sequence.
Indeed, they've been, as you said in your intro, improving. They appeared on the scene. This is their first lineup like this since Robin Williams took over, and they appeared, I can't remember how they, first, the third, that sort of thing. They were there or thereabouts, but really came good in the semi-final yesterday, and this is definitely a crew to watch because we're building through to the Olympics in Beijing. This is an Olympic event, and every single lightweight oarsman wants to be in the straight four, and that's what these four are, and they want to hold on to their places with a good result today.
Interesting, the Dutch a little bit off the pace. They've changed it around a bit since Amsterdam because the stern pair, well, they were third in Amsterdam, the bow pair was seventh, so they've sort of mixed the crew and tried to sort it out again, and they're two from the bottom of the picture. Then Great Britain, who are in picture now, James Clark in the stroke seat, and they've got the edge through this first quarter. Two from the top of the picture, that's Canada, Dan Parsons, Mike Lewis, John Beer and Ian Bramble.
Interestingly, British 4 settled in at 39 strokes a minute as they go through 500 metres, which looks like being their race pace. They're a light crew, they don't reach terribly long, and they're tapping it along, keeping that boat just spinning along on the surface. But watch Lane 6, the bow ball just in camera now. That's the Italian crew with Amitrano, Mascarenhas, Amaranti, and the rather un-Italian name of Jiri Vicek from the new Europe, we'll say. And that's a crew, although they're out in 6 and didn't qualify fast for this semi-final, I would be watching across to my left and making sure that they were behaving themselves.
Yeah, well, Mascarenhas was very aggressive off the start there. A man who's been in bronze medal position at the World Championships on the last two editions, and you can just see the Italians now. But the British, this is a great start by this British lightweight 4, and you can see they've got pretty well half a length on the field. And all credit to Robin Williams at 39 strokes a minute.
This is their race pace. They settled into 39 a couple of minutes ago. They've got it now. They went up to 46 off the start when they were in the wind strokes from 5 through 8, and then they've got into this race pace, and they will keep tapping it along. This is how you row an 8 with lightweights. You sit up there, you don't reach too long, you just tap it along with a sharp, very aggressive but not overpowerful catch. Make sure you're moving the boat from the moment the blade enters the water, and do it completely cleanly.
And interestingly enough, also worth mentioning here, Hugh, that the Great Danes, with Eskil Everson coming back, of course, into the stroke seat, with Jurgensen, Mats Andersen and Bo Hellenberg. They won the B final from Egypt and Serbia, Germany, Greece and Spain. But interestingly that the Danes couldn't find a way into this final.
No, but don't write them off either, but I don't think this four has anything like, you say the Great Danes, they're not on a par with the people we call the Great Danes, who were of course tiny because they were lightweights, but were incredibly impressive in a boat and dominant for years in this event, and used to take on heavyweights and either win or lose by a very small margin. But this, if you look across that field, there are four boats in a row with Holland, Australia, Canada and France all doing much the same thing. One boat right out in front. Italy, who I spoke up for early on in the race, have disappeared backwards in lane 6, but the British four looking very class act indeed, leading this race well into the third 500.
Just keep an eye on Australia on the far side there. They're vying for second place at the moment, and the Dutch at the moment have got just about, would it be second place? Yes, just about
the Dutch are in second place, and the parallax makes it a bit tricky to see. The Dutch are in second place, a full length down on Great Britain, and then it's France, Australia and Canada, I think in that order on the far side. But there's all to play for. This is a relatively fast-moving boat, but they're so close together that a small change of pace could make a big difference.
Absolutely right, Hugh, as they go through the third quarter, and it is Great Britain ahead from Holland and France. France, really difficult to work them out. Again, you wouldn't write them off because, as you've emphasised throughout today's competitions, the French very, very much like the Germans in a sense. They focus totally on delivering in Munich. They don't really care, to be perfectly honest, what happens along the way, as long as on the day in Munich they get the results they crave.
I believe that the coach, Robin Williams, the coach of the British four, has actually been fairly harsh on them recently because he knows their class and he wants Munich much more than he wants this. And I think they've been working pretty hard. So this is an exceptionally good performance. Now Holland steering crazily, and they're right out of their lane and have moved across into the Italian lane. Now that doesn't terribly matter because the Italians are out of touch, but they'll be disqualified if there's any interference at all. But the main time is it's taking them, they're going to catch a crab on the buoy, and they did.
And there's other things happening as well here, because look at the French coming on to the British. You've got the Dutch on the near side who've been wayward, but the French finishing faster than anybody else on the regatta course. Right in front of us now, Great Britain, who've been out in front, coming home to complete the sequence. Third in Linz, second in Amsterdam, and the winners here in Lucerne. The Dutch recovering. Whoa, that's a photo between Holland and France, the second place, and third place within Canada and Australia and Italy.
Canada and Australia very close behind, but we'll wait for that photo outcome between Holland and France because it was impossible to pick across the line. But Great Britain withstood the push. The Dutch did something curious which made them leave their lane. That's what pulled them back from a secure second into a quasi third or second. But actually Great Britain withstood the push of both of those to be half a length up on the line. I think I'm giving that to Holland.
I think I'm giving it to France.
Well, we can argue about it.
I think I'm giving that to France.
Now what did Holland do now? Because that's where they lost it. Otherwise, they lost half a length in steering out of their lane. Something curious went wrong. Now we didn't see what triggered them changing direction. Did the man with the rudder, who I can't see where the lines are, probably Stroke has the rudder, and did he do something wrong with his foot and make the rudder do that? Or did somebody miss a stroke and make the crew, but the crew was at 45 degrees to the lane for a brief period. David, I confess, I was wrong.
Well, I think that's one apiece today.
A full second victory for the gold medalists, and then a very, very close margin for those other two. Great victory there. James Clark